What's up? Briterion Bollection is back.
E-word.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm your host, Kevin, and I'm here with my wife,
Aileen. Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. The movie we're gonna talk about today is a movie by the name of El Mariachi, which was released in 91, was it?
I thought it was 93.
Was it 93?
I thought so because I remember reading before that. I think that was the year that there was one. I forgot. Was it Colombia that bought the rights to it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because I know it took him a while to get, to pitch this to someone.
Right.
Really.
Well, I guess it was 92.
Oh, it was 92. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which makes sense because I know that him and Tarantino met while doing like festivals, like film festivals, and that's how they met because he was showing El Mariachi and Tarantino was showing Reservoir Dogs. So they were both showing their debut films.
Yes.
Okay. And that's how they got really close. I mean, to this day, they're still really close.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, Kill Bill was a long time ago already. No, that was over 20 years ago at this point. Mm-hmm. But if you see the end credits of Kill Bill, Tarantino puts like in thank yous, he puts like a thank you section, and in that thank you he puts Robert Rodrigeuz and he puts my brother. He puts in parentheses my brother. So he looks at him like he is his brother. I mean, obviously Tarantino's an only child, so
yeah, but maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he considers him his brother, even
right.
though I know that Robert Rodrigeuz really has a lot of siblings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, which we'll get into some of that later on, but
he's from a big Tex-Mex family, right?
Yes, you can call it that.
Yeah. So I actually saw this movie kind of late.
Yeah, I'll get into it because I actually saw this movie back when I was maybe about 14, 15. That's when I really got to see it because I first heard of it when I was a kid and my uncles really wanted to watch this movie, but of course they were not going to allow me to watch it. So I had to wait until I was a teenager to actually be able to watch this movie. And as ridiculous as it sounds, I actually really liked it. So for a long time, I couldn't get Kevin to actually watch this movie because he thought it would be stupid. But I finally convinced him, and
I loved it. I thought it was fucking hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I kind of avoided it because I'm not actually the hugest Robert Rodriguez fan,
Neither am I.
I'm not a big Spy Kids guy.
I mean, for kids, I understand that, but I feel that he has had like some B-ish productions, so.
Well, he does pretty much everything on his own. He does everything.
Well, at least you have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, no, I do. And he has his own studio. He has his own small little studio in Austin, Texas. So, I mean, even though I love From Dusk Till Dawn, I didn't love a lot of his other work. Even though I thought Sin City was pretty good. It's actually one of his best films, I would say. It's probably in the top 3. It's probably Dusk Till Dawn for me is first, then El Mariachi, then Sin City. At least the first one. First Sin City. But other than that, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big Shark Boy and Lava Girl guy.
Well, I have younger cousins who were really into that at the time. So.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of avoided El Mariachi. And then also at that time, I was really film snobby. So a lot of movies I would watch were like, I went out of my way to avoid like well-known movies, you know what I'm saying, for a long time. I looked at it like, okay, the previous generation was inspired by those movies. They were inspired by Jaws and Raiders of the Lost Ark and Godfather, and like that was the previous generation. I was trying to come out with new shit, that's why I watch a lot of obscure, Japanese movies, obscure, French New Wave movies that have, that were forgotten at the time. They're, now that everything is streaming, you can find shit kind of easily, but, in the early 2000s, like those French New Wave movies, you had to dig to find them. You know what I mean?
You really did. You really did.
Yeah. So that's what I was on about. I was writing this Japanese, really inspired by Tarantino. Like, seeing Kill Bill made me go back, and I was like, hey, let me see these other movies that he was talking about, because I read a lot of interviews with him during that time, and that's how I got into Takashi Miike. Who else? Kinji Fukasaku. I really liked Toshiaki Toyota. He's a forgotten one. He's still not known. People know Miike. People know the guy who did Ringu. But a lot of people don't know Toshiaki Toyota, and he's someone who I can still like keep close to me. He's still underground to me. And if you know, you know. He's a master director for me. So yeah, that's what I was into. So I kind of avoided El Mariachi for a long time. But then one day you were saying how much you loved it or whatever, and we were just watching movies as a couple. We were going through.
You make that sound really cheap.
Well, I mean, that's what we were doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? We still do it a lot, but
but we were just friends when we started watching a lot of movies together. So
yeah, but I mean, we saw this. We were already a couple when we saw this. You know what I'm saying? So you, I think maybe you bought it first. Like you got it for cheap at Book Off or something.
It was something like that.
Yeah. And so you just bought it. You're like, have you seen this? And I was like, no. And you're like, oh, you have to see it. So we watched it, and I was just laughing my ass off. I thought it was hilarious. So that was a good call. Yeah, that's how I saw El Mariachi. And any other words before we get into it?
I really can't think of much other than actually part of what got us to do this episode, or at least to talk about El Mariachi on this episode, is because I recently subbed at one of the schools I work at, which I just spoiled it. I'm actually a substitute teacher for a living, but I will not mention which schools I work for. But one of the schools I subbed at their library, they have a little cart with discarded books from their system. And one of those was one of these biography books on Robert Rodrigeuz. So I asked the librarian, can I actually take this book? And she said, absolutely, and feel free to take more if you'd like. But I was like, sure, I'll take this one for now. And I mean, it's really written for kids, but you can tell that it was withdrawn from their system, because what kid cares about that nowadays? Like, who wants to read about Robert Rodrigeuz when they're just all about brain rot and skibbity toilet? It's just, yeah.
I don't even know what that is, but yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and also maybe they were just like, yeah, it is weird that you would find a book like that written for kids, like a biography book,
Yeah, because that biography is actually from the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's quite strange, because, I mean, maybe they're familiar with his Shark Boy, Lava Girl stuff and his Spy Kids stuff.
I feel like most kids, at least Gen Alpha, would not be familiar with that. At least most of them wouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't, but just in general, I'm surprised that they would make a book like that. Like, you would think his films are pretty, violent and sexual as well, that you wouldn't make something for kids,
I would think so. But yeah, so I ended up bringing the book back home. Of course, I showed it to Kevin, and he just thought, that is so random that you would bring this back home. I'm like, well, I think we should, do something regarding this. And yeah, so now we're about to talk about El Mariachi.
Right, there you go. So, Wikipedia plot description. So, after breaking out of a jail in a small Mexican town, a ruthless criminal nicknamed Azul ventures off with a guitar case full of weapons and vows revenge on the local drug lord, Moco, who had him arrested in the first place. Meanwhile, a young musician arrives in town carrying his own guitar case, which contains his signature guitar. he hopes to find work in the town in order to pursue his dream of becoming a mariachi like his father. So yeah, the film starts off and we see a random jail and we see...
Yeah, like tiny ass jail.
Yeah.
Like probably like 10 by 10 maybe?
Yeah, it's a hella small jail. But it is a real jail from what I see.
Yes, it actually is a real jail. Spoiler, or more like, I guess a
flash
fun
forward
fact.
or what?
Yeah, well, more like a fun fact.
Okay.
In that Robert Rodrigeuz biography book that I got, it actually said that, yeah, it was a real jail. And they had a couple real prisoners, and one of them actually escaped while they were filming. But they managed to catch him.
That's very funny.
It is.
Yeah. And I think he talks about it on the commentary track, too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I really like Robert Rodriguez's commentary tracks because he's so calm. Like, he's so calm when he speaks that it's almost like Zen-like when you listen to his commentaries. So it's kind of funny.
I must listen to it because I haven't listened to his commentaries.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. If you listen to the commentary for From Dusk Till Dawn, you hear him, he's all calm, and then you hear Tarantino, he's like, well, in this scene, we did this, and that. Like, it's like, they're totally different. Like, but I guess that's what makes their relationship work. Yeah. They really complement each other. So yeah, we see this tiny-ass Mexican jail, and we see the guy Azul there. He seems very Shreksican, this Azul guy, would you say?
Yes, if you guys are not familiar with the term Shreksican, please Google it.
Okay. Yeah, he seems very Shreksican, kind of looks like Shrek. So
without the horns and the green skin, but just you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, so this white guy calls Azul, and this white guy is Moco. And he's this rich guy, and he has chicks in his swimming pool, so you can see that he's rich.
Yeah, rich by... not by honest means, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of assume that he must be a drug dealer or something, you know, that's how people get rich in Mexico.
That's a huge stereotype. It does happen, but that's not the only way you can get rich. Just...
no.
I don't advise it, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, we see him and he's chilling in the pool. He has some chicks and...
Yeah, well, one of them is his manicurist. At least that's how she's credited.
Yeah, his manicurist. I don't really... I'd see her swimming more than doing that.
Yeah, exactly. You only see him, like, filing his nails in one scene, but that's about it.
Yeah. So he calls Azul... And does he call him on like a Zach Morris phone or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he has his big ass phone. And so the white guy, where did he come from? He's, what's his name? Peter Marquardt is the actor's name, right?
R.I.P. He did pass away a few years ago.
Right. Mm-hmm. And he's not really an actor, right? He was like one of the producers of it or whatever.
Yeah, well, he did hardly ever acted, to be honest, from what I saw.
Yeah, he only acted in Robert Rodriguez productions.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he plays Moco, the drug lord, and he calls Azul after all these years, and Moco is speaking Spanish, even though he's white.
Yeah, I mean, but you can tell him that he does not dominate the language.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of struggles to speak it, and you can tell that, you know, his dialogue is very scripted.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, like, part of the charm of it, too, I guess, is, like, that's what gives it its B charm, is, like, his crappy acting and his crappy Spanish speaking, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what's funny about it, you know, but he kind of sells it like he knows what he's talking about, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he kind of does, but it's still, yeah. You could tell that he still memorized his lines, though.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and then we see in slow motion guys walking up to the jail with guns, and yeah, I mean, just the acting is horrible. Like, this is like almost a Mexican blood sport. Like, it has that horrible acting.
I don't know. I think I like this movie more than Bloodsport.
I mean, it's a toss up for me. They're both great. Azul, like Star 69's Moko, was that even a thing at the time? Like, like he somehow, or was it redial or flash dial or whatever the hell? Like,
I guess I don't know, but in Mexico, I don't even know if Star 69 exists.
like, but how did he call him back or like what was that? Okay, yeah. So he calls Moko back, and then Moko hears him kill his men. Like he hears them like like shooting up, and he like revels in that, and Moko's like, "Argh!" Like he's like acting all pissed off on the phone. And then the credits come up, and we see a Los Hooligans production.
Present.
Yeah. And so I guess Los Hooligans, that was a comic strip that he did in college. That's what Robert Rodrigeuz said.
Well, I know that was his, so his production line early on.
Yeah, exactly. And so I know on the commentary track, he said he learned how to make films by making short films with a video camera that his dad bought. Like he bought, just a, 80s video camera, and then he just started making crappy short films. And he was, in the commentary, he was saying, every filmmaker has like hundreds of crappy films in him that he needs to release, before he makes something good. And he's like, that's what I did. He's like, he made a bunch of crappy movies, short films in the 80s that led me to the success of this, So that's what he said. I mean, and that's similar to like bands. Like a lot of songwriters and bands always say, you have to write out all your shitty music before you put out something good, you know?
No, it's true. And this really goes for any art form.
Yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, you have some random ass people who can somehow go in cold turkey and kill it. Like Haruki Murakami, he never wrote shit before he did his first thing. He said he was at a baseball game or something in Japan, and then some American guy hit like a double or something, and he was like, no, he's like, I must be a writer. I must become a writer. Like something flashed in his brain, and all of a sudden he just started writing masterpieces after masterpiece.
I think some people just have that ability from the very beginning. Really, it just depends.
Yeah.
I mean, some people don't have to work very hard to get something.
Right. No, it's
while
true.
Others do, really.
Yeah, for sure. Some people are, prodigies, and some have to work their way at it,
Yeah.
But, kind of seeing this film, like the arc of this film, and even some of the, like, iconography a little bit, reminds me of the anime film Ninja Scroll. Reminds me a bit, like, just how he's kind of this vagabond guy, I guess he's kind of a ninja for hire. I mean, a Ninja Scroll, this guy, he's a mariachi for hire, But then him meeting Domino, and in Ninja Scroll, he meets Kigeru, and they kind of form this bond, but they don't, like, nothing sexual, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there is, like, they kiss, like, he kisses her forehead or something, when she's, like, dying at the end.
Okay, yeah, we're getting way ahead now. Okay, disclaimer. Yeah, there's a chance that things won't get described in order on this episode.
Yes.
But let's just try to be more chronological about it.
Yeah, but, I mean, watch Ninja Scroll and watch this film. You might see some
similarities.
Cinematic parallels, if you will. So yeah, and like I said, Robert Rodrigeuz, he did a lot of work on this. He photographed it, he edited it. I think he did all the music on it. That's something that he's known for. And so the actor who plays El Mariachi is Carlos Gallardo, and he's also one of the producers of the film.
Well, I know that they've been long-term friends too. So
right. How come he never wanted to act anymore? Carlos Gallardo.
I'm not sure. I was actually trying to look up more about him not that long ago, but I don't think there's that much known about him, really.
Right. I mean, I feel like he was good in this movie. He has like a genuine,
charm.
Yeah. I don't know why he didn't want to do it anymore. But anyway, so Azul walks in and he pays off the jailer lady. Bribes. That's how you get through Mexico with dealing with cops, right? sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. That's also like a big stereotype. I feel that nowadays I mean, it's known that it still happens, but not as much as back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. Asuoga has the leather vest on, no undershirt, just the leather vest. And a truck pulls up, and it's his homeboys. We see him pull out a guitar case, and he opens it up, and there's guns in there.
Oh yeah.
And that's just like his calling card. Like he pretends to not have guns.
But he has rifles, doesn't he? Or
yeah, he has a bunch of guns in there.
Any type of gun.
Yeah, he has some. Yeah, he has like an arsenal. He has like a variety of long guns, shorter guns. Yeah, he has quite the arsenal in his guitar case. And then we cut to El Mariachi, who he doesn't really have a name, right? He's just El Mariachi.
He's just known as El Mariachi.
Yeah,
really.
And we see him trying to hitchhike, but nobody wants to pick his ass up.
So he just walks all the way through a highway.
Yeah.
And then you just see him. He gets, until he finally gets to the town that he was looking for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and he's trying to get to Ciudad Acuña. Right?
Yes, which is in Coahuila. It's in northern Mexico.
Yeah. So, he's just a vagabond. I mean, he's like, he reminds me of like Ryu in Street Fighter, the animated movie too. Like, I guess that's something that comes from westerns, old school western movies. Even though I didn't really watch a lot of old westerns, that's really where the anime and the Japanese influence, that they got it from a lot of westerns that they would see. It's always like a vagabond guy, roaming the streets, the town or whatever. And we see him, he gets some fresh coconut water, right? And was it free? He just got it for free?
Yeah, like I guess it was just like a complimentary coconut. And, and that's why he thought like, oh, like I really do feel welcome here because like, it's like, where else can you get like a free coconut water?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's awesome. So he's like,
he just ended up getting lucky that one time.
Yeah. That was the beginning and end of his luck in the city. Getting that coconut water. But don't you just love that about Mexico? Just like the fresh fruit and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the accessibility of it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I
mean, that's just one of the things.
Yeah. So he comes into the town, and he thinks it's really friendly, and he does a little voiceover, right? He says, I always wanted to be a mariachi, just like my father and my grandpa.
Yeah, like he really wants to continue that legacy.
So he goes into a bar, and he sees the bartender, and the bartender asks him...
Yeah, well, the bartender is kind of an a-hole.
Yeah, he's kind of an a-hole, and he's like, ¿Qué quieres? Like, what do you want?
What do you want? So...
He says, un refresco, a soda, right? And the guy's reaction, he doesn't say anything, but his reaction is like...
Who walks into a bar just to have a soda?
Yeah. He looks at him like, what the fuck? But his face is hilarious. Like, I love the look that he gives. And, El Mariachi looks around the bar, and everyone's just looking at him. Like, everyone's staring at his ass, like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, but it's like, there are a few other guys there, but it's just really quiet in there, too.
Yeah. It's a locals only type of place,
Yeah.
And he asks if there's music to the bartender, and the bartender is like, wow, why? And he offers his services.
Yeah, of course. He says, like, hey, I'm a musician, and, I can help you bring in more clientele if you let me play here.
Yeah, and he won't charge much, and he'll mainly work for tips, right?
Yeah.
And but the bartender asks him, like, oh, why should I get one guy when I got a full band? Yeah. And so El Mariachi looks around.
And then you just see the camera just zooms in fast motion towards some, sleepy guy, like, slouching on the stool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has a sombrero on, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy just busts out some stools or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he puts out this Casio keyboard there, resting on these stools or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he has some weird sound effects or whatever, and it goes into this mariachi song, but it's a weird mariachi song.
It's where like it just sounds like this ridiculous song with horns and
yeah. This is almost like it sounds like if like Timbaland made mariachi music. Like that's kind of what the song sounds like.
And you can just see that El Mariachi gives a side eye while he's playing.
Yeah, I love that. I love his look. When he looks at he's like in profile, and then you can see like his eyes look at him, and then we see.
Well, that was side eye Chloe before side eye Chloe actually existed.
Maybe we should make a meme out of that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, put it on the Briterion IG, and the bartender is just bobbing his head like, "Yeah, it was tight." Like he's just like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, and mariachi walks out, and the bartender tells him, "Hey, like if you want to make money, buy an instrument that's worth it." Cabrón. As he walks out. And then some old guy who's there has to take a shit.
Yeah, so he just runs towards the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then a minute later, you see Azul walking in to the bar.
Yep.
The same bar.
Yep, with the guitar case. And the bartender's like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's like mariachi day. It's like there's no job, there's no work for you either.
Asshole. Yeah. And Azul looks at him like, "What's he talking about?" Kind of,
Yeah.
But then he asks him for a beer.
Well, first he's like, well, the bartender asks him, "What do you want?"
And he's like, "Una cerveza."
A beer.
And he pours it into a glass.
Yeah,
right?
So he pops it open and pours it into a glass, which of course Azul does not like to drink out of some glass cup. So
yeah, so he says, "En botella, way."
It's like I want it in the bottle, dumbass.
So then the bartender just like drinks it, like humbly drinks the beer that he poured in the glass, and Azul starts asking around for moco, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy says, "We work for him," and so Azul takes out his gun and just starts busting caps in these guys. He's like, "Fuck you!"
Which was pretty stupid of the guy to say.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess only the old guy taking a shit survives, right?
Yeah,
because he was in the bathroom.
Because he was not within his sight. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
So he got lucky.
Yeah, and so the bartender tries to walk out, like he kind of ducked when he was busting caps and the other guys, but then Azul, he grabs another gun and goes to the bathroom.
Oh.
And then he does kill that guy. Because, I mean, you assume, because you just hear a loud bang.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he goes to the bathroom.
You don't see it, but, I mean, who else would he have gone in the bathroom?
You just hear it. Yeah. And the bartender is scared as hell, but Azul lets him live at first, and then he starts calling someone, like, when he walks out, but then Azul comes back in, and he just pays the beer. He's like, "Oh, I forgot to pay this," or whatever. But the bartender's all scared, and
at least he did that.
And his crappy acting, and he calls Moco, and he's like, "Moco!" Horrible acting.
Yeah, really bad.
And then we see the mustache aviator guy. What's his name? Do you know his name in the film?
I forgot.
Anyways, yeah, I just call him mustache aviator.
I think he was back.
Oh no, Bigoton.
Oh, Bigoton, that's true. Big mustache. That's what it means.
So he's this like Super Mario looking bro.
Wow. I don't know if I would have put him under that category.
He's Shrexican meets Super Mario style. But he has
I don't know if I would call that guy a Shrexican. He has some other style, but still Yeah,
so anyways, mustache aviator guy, he walks into a hotel and he's like, "Let me use the phone," whatever. And so he calls Moco, and Moko tells him to find the mariachi, and he tells the hotelier to look out for that guy. He tells him to look out for Azul, right? Like he's like, hey.
No, he tells him to look out for Azul, but
he's like, oh, like look out for a guy. He has a guitar case.
Yeah, he has a guitar case, and he's wearing all black.
Yeah,
which is really weird that his name is Azul if he's wearing all black.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they got that from. So yeah, and he tells the hotelier, quote unquote, or the motelier guy,
yeah,
to like look out for that guy, and he's like, well, if I don't, you'll kill me, right?
Well, obviously.
Yeah. So we see El Mariachi, the real El Mariachi. He goes into a different bar, and we're introduced to Domino, who's the bartender girl, right? And
so yeah, she runs the bar.
Yeah. And he orders another soda from her.
Yeah. Well, because when he first walks in, and she's like, what can I get you?
Mm-hmm.
And he says a soda, and she's like, a soda? He's like, are you a kid or what?
Yeah.
But it sounds way funnier when you actually hear it in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. And because he's like, un refresco. And she's like,
un refresco? ¿Eres niño o qué?
And he kind of laughs, he kind of smiles at that. But then he tells her that he's a singer, right?
And if he consumes any alcohol, it'll affect his voice.
Yeah. And so he offers her his mariachi services as well. But she says she can't pay him.
Yeah, she said she can't afford it. And he said, like, I don't mind, like, just, pay me room and board. And I'll be okay with that.
But she just kind of declines, right? At that moment.
Yeah, at that moment.
Yeah. So then he goes to that hotel where Mustache Aviator guy was at.
Yeah.
And, he's just trying to get a room. And it's weird because the hotel guy, he's reading some newspaper called, like, Egipto or something like that.
Yeah, it's like some really... it just seems like a... how do you call those newspapers that really show you, like, all this graphic crap on them?
I don't know. I don't even know what that is.
I mean, I know in Mexico they really have those where they're, like, really, like, graphic and gory whenever they show you, like, some kind of, like violent news or something like that.
No, I mean, I don't know. Tabloids over there? I'm not really sure.
I don't know those are tabloids.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be. But it's weird that it's called Egipto, because the guy, he looks like Egyptian to me, the guy. Like the hotel guy.
That is so weird. I would never assume he looks Egyptian.
He kind of reminds me of my friend's dad in high school. He just had this look like that. Like, I always thought, like, when I first met him, I thought he was Middle Eastern or something like that, but he was Mexican. Anyway, so he asked him to leave a deposit, and he's like, well, I don't have that much money or whatever, and he just pulls out some cash, and then the guy's like, yeah, he just grabs all his cash.
He's like, this is good enough for now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And he just stashes it in his drawer.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, so El Mariachi walks up to his room, and then in fast motion, he goes, he like runs over and goes to the phone, and he starts
he starts like,
yeah,
and then
he calls Moko, and so the fast motion, that's part of the humor of it, like that's what makes it funny. It's almost Buster Keaton-y, the fast motion nature of it, and he calls Moko to let him know, and it's like, I like the green painted building, that's just natural.
Yeah, but it's like one of these like really cheap, dingy motels.
Yeah, it is.
Well, the color really doesn't help.
Yeah. So Mariachi is in his room, and he falls asleep, and he's dreaming of some kid playing basketball or something.
Playing soccer, really.
Oh, yeah, but he has like a basketball or whatever.
I guess that's all he could really play with.
Yeah, and so he rolls the ball to him, to El Mariachi, the kid, and he's about to pick it up, and then when he picks it up, it's a head.
It's
Yeah.
a decapitated
Yeah.
head.
And then he's like, ah! And then his like crappy acting in his face when he screams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But then you just see him waking up from this nightmare.
Yeah, he's like, ah! So he wakes up, and then we see Aviator Dude and his boys roll up with guns, like looking for his ass. They roll up in their truck or whatever, and you know they go outside his door or whatever, and they're like banging on the door and stuff like that, and he's like, oh shit, like what the hell, like I need to get the hell out of here or whatever. So he's on the run, and they're chasing his ass, and this scene reminds me a lot of Ong Bak. Like there's this chase scene in Ong Bak where they're chasing him, Tony Jaa, and his cousin in the movie. Like the bad guys are chasing them with knives, and it's a hilarious chase scene. It reminds me a lot. And he's running, and he slides kind of like Tom Cruise in Risky Business, or like the Breakfast Club kids, like in that hallway, like how they kind of slide, they skid. Yeah. And he remembers that he forgot his guitar case. So he's like, shit. So
he has to run back into the room.
Yeah. And when he goes and gets it, he also decides to take the mace. It's like a decoration.
Yeah.
Of like a Middle Ages thing.
It's like, you know, it's like what a coincidence that there also happened to be a mason in the room as part of the decoration.
Yeah, it's weird, it's random, but he was even in the other rooms that had it, so it wasn't like just that one, just his room.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing too.
It is really weird.
Yeah.
Perfect coincidence. So he takes the mace off the wall, you know, just in case, I guess, you know.
But then, you know, that the group of guys trying to take him down are looking for him.
Yeah. So
then the front desk guy at the hotel, of course, tells him like it's like that way, dumbasses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like these guys are bumbling idiots trying
they
run after him. And then he just pulls some Jackie Chan shit. He slides down the telephone wire, and he hits the bus going by or whatever. That's straight up Rush Hour shit, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy that he would do that, too. And they have him cornered in the truck. And so...
Well, really, he actually ends up landing on top of a bus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he falls down after that. Yeah, he falls.
And then he just continues to, you know,
keep running. But eventually they have him cornered in their truck. And, you know, it's kind of like there's nowhere to go. So then he just decides to be like, okay, I'm just going to run up the middle, like run up the top of the truck. He's like, because I don't have anywhere else to go. So he just goes up the middle, like a running back in the I formation. And the guys shoot each other. So when he does that, he crosses them up, so like they're trying to shoot him, but then they shoot each other, and so they're so fucking stupid that they just aim the guns at each other, and they're both dead in the truck. And then he beats the Aviator Dude with his guitar case, and he starts busting caps on another dude. Like he gets a gun and he starts fucking shooting, and he starts killing some dudes on his own. And you made a nice observation that there's a free sticker on the truck.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help, honestly. For those who are not familiar with free, it's one of the major Mexican political parties. They actually have the reputation for being one of the most corrupt, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they all are. To some degree, but that's one of the worst political parties. Probably the worst, honestly.
Yeah, what presidents were part of that?
The last president part of that was Peña Nieto.
Yeah.
I know that. Who else was part of it? I think Cedillo was also part of it. Definitely the one that we know was Carlos Salinas de Gortari. He was really bad. For those of you who are not familiar with these presidents, especially the last one I mentioned, he was among the worst. So, yeah, he definitely contributed to, you know, a lot of the corruption that has gone, within the Mexican government. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So then El Mariachi, he goes back to Domino's bar, and
But he is like really distraught.
yeah, and he's like winded,
Yeah.
and she's like, "What happened? Too much soda?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," like he tells her that he killed 4 guys, and she's about to call the police, but he tells her that it was in self-defense because he's not from the town.
Yeah.
And he asks her for a place to stay, and I guess she believes him, so she decides to let him stay. And he's like about to kiss her hand, like he like inches closer to kissing her hand, and then she just slaps him.
Yeah, she pulls out her hand and slaps
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And then she says, "Watch out for her pit bull."
And you just see her
corner,
pit bull
right?
just like sitting in the back. He just has like these like like googly eyes. Like he really does have these puppy eyes to him.
Right. Yeah. So he goes to his room, or
yeah. Well,
I guess it's her room.
It's her room, but she's letting him stay.
Yeah, and he sees the dog there.
Yeah. So, but then that's the thing. So he's about to rest. You can see that while he's getting ready to rest, she gets a phone.
Yeah.
She gets a phone call from Moko, right? From what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he asks her like, have you seen this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she just
like where and yeah.
Yeah, and she just tells him no, right?
Yeah,
like,
and and yeah. So then he tells her like, hey, if you see him, let us know. Like he's killing, like he's killing off all my guys. So then that's when she goes like, what? And like when he first told her like I killed 6 guys, but then Moko tells her over the phone like he actually killed 10.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, this isn't pairing up. Like, so what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then after she hangs up, she goes upstairs. She sees that he's taking a bath in her bathroom. And she's like, didn't I just tell you not to touch anything? Because before he headed upstairs, she told him, like, don't touch my stuff. And he just goes, okay. But then she sees him in the bathtub. And, of course, he's using her shampoo and soap. And she's like, didn't I just tell you not to touch anything? He's like, sorry, I can't get out. And she's like, no, that's fine. Stay there. And so then she asks him, like, do you need any other toiletries? And he says, like, no, I think I should be okay. But then, while he's looking away, she takes a knife out, and, and the thing is that, so, she comes from behind him, and she threatens him. And she's like, all right, I want you to be honest with me, and you're going to tell me what you have in that guitar case. Do you have any weapons? Do you have any guns, knives? What's in there? And he's like, all freaking out. He's like, it's my guitar. He's like, that's the guitar I play. And she's like, all right, I'm going to open it. So she opens it with her foot because she has one arm around him, and while she's holding the knife with the other hand. And she opens it, and she does see it is a guitar. But she's still skeptical.
Yeah.
So she grabs it and she's like, all right, play me a song. But he's just strumming it.
Yeah.
And he's like, play me a song, like now. And she puts the knife under the water, which of course looks like she's threatening to cut off a body part.
Yeah.
And to which he's like, okay, I really need to play her something real. So then
yeah, he starts playing. He like improvises a song, basically, right?
Yeah, he does.
It's a pretty good song, honestly.
Yeah.
Like he starts to freestyle some lyrics about how he like goes to the town, right? And he has like, a-holes chasing him, trying to kill him, but then he first adds something to the song about what she's about to do.
or like
Yeah.
what she's threatening to
Yeah.
do to him.
Yeah. He's like, she's gonna cut my balls off. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember exactly what he says.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things
Yeah.
that he said.
Yeah.
But then she's actually impressed. She's like, all right, pretty good. She said, you can play. All right, I believe you.
Yeah.
And you know, as he finished the song, of course, you know, he looks at her and then he looks at the dog.
Yeah.
And the dog is just whatever.
Yeah. He's trying to get applause from the dog doesn't give a shit. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good song, especially on the spot like that. Yeah, and he says that she can pay him in room and board, and she agrees. And then she comes back with a knife, and she tells him he needs a better sense of humor because this is a letter opener. Yeah. A hella sharp one. This is like...
Yeah, no, I was like, for a letter opener, that looks really sharp.
Yeah.
Like, that looks deadly.
This is like a hex-clad letter opener. Like, hella fucking sharp.
If you haven't seen hex-clad knives, please look those up. I think they're worth getting, even though I've gone on Reddit. People talk a lot of crap about those knives. I actually bought them because my favorite chef recommended them. Thank you, Marcela Valladolid, for recommending those knives. They're the best knives I could have ever bought, and I don't know why I lagged for so long to have actually bought them. They're so good, I actually cut myself with them a couple of times. You know, that was my fault, because I should have been more careful. But that's how good they are, really. Right.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really sharp. Hella sharp. Yeah, but this might have been an early hex-clad letter opener. So then Moko calls Azul, and Moko is pissed off because he's like, "You killed 10 of my men," and he's like, and Azul's like, "No, I killed 6." He's like, "But then again, you always sucked ass at math." So, and he's like, "Argh!" He's just like ridiculously pissed off, you know. And then we cut back to the bar, and Domino tells El Mariachi, like, "Oh, hurry your ass up. You need to play for the crowd." So he goes out there, you know, and it's his time to shine. So he starts playing the song, and it's another pretty good song that he plays. And it's a very Mexican crowd, too, you know.
For sure.
You know, nicely dressed, smoking indoors.
Yeah, but the bar is full. Like,
a
lot
of
people
full.
came in to watch him.
Yeah. Kawamas everywhere, you know.
40s. That's what
40s.
That's what a kawama is.
So, but he's not really singing, right?
No, that's not him.
Yeah, and he's not playing either.
And he's definitely not playing.
But he does a good, like, how Rodriguez, like, the editing of it is pretty good. It's pretty seamless. Like, you know, you see his hands, you see his face, and it's not, like, it's too jarring. You know, it was kind of seamless how he did it. And, like, Domino is at the bar, and she's, like, enraptured by his playing, kind of, you know? Yeah. And then, like, some asshole, like, snaps his fingers in her face, like, "Hey, beer?" You know, like... and what's annoying is that guy is chewing gum. It's fucking annoying that he's chewing gum when he says that, too. And so he finishes the song, and the crowd, like, erupts. It's like, "Ah!" Sounds hella loud. The clapping there, and it was almost as loud as Madison Square Garden in '99 when Larry Johnson hit that shot, and it was just like, "Ah!" Like it just erupts. And so, FYI, the Knicks are gonna play the Celtics on Monday, so that should be a good series. Boston, New York. And she tells him that he can sleep on the bed, but on his side. You know, it's like inching closer. They're getting closer. You know. So he goes to bed, and he has another nightmare where the kid is holding the guy's head. And he wakes up, and he tells her he needs to go to the other hotel, for his money that he left there. You know, because he didn't end up staying there, but he paid all his money. You know, that the guy just grabbed from him.
Oh yeah, of course.
So he goes over there, and then does Domino call Moko at this point? Does she call him? Or he calls her?
I thought he called her.
Okay, he calls her. And then we see El Mariachi go to that crappy hotel, and he tries to get his money back, but the hotelier guy is making excuses. But then El Mariachi just reaches in and grabs it. He just takes it and he leaves. And the guy, once again, he speed dials Moko. And Azul goes into Domino's bar and he asks for a beer. And the guy, she has another guy working there, and he pours it into a glass too. And he says, "En botella, away." again.
It's like every bartender has gotten his request wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Aviator mustache dude and his boys confront Azul with guns, and
and actually I was gonna say, don't forget that his actual name is Bigoton.
Okay.
Not Aviator mustache guy, whatever you call it.
So yeah, Bigoton and his boys confront Azul with guns, and he tells them that he just has a guitar in his case, and then El Mariachi runs out, and he has the case of guns. So Bigoton sees both of them, and they're like, okay, who do we chase? But then they're like, okay, let's chase this guy. So they chase El Mariachi, and he's like, shit. So he just decides to start using the guns and start taking out these fools. So he starts busting caps. Azul goes back to his boys, and he shows his boy the guitar case, and he opens it up, and there's a guitar there. And he's drinking water, and he spits it out. Like, what the fuck? And we see Domino attending to El Mariachi's wounds. And Bigoton, when he goes back to... Oh, yeah, he goes back to Moko, and he gives him the rundown of what happened. The guy got away.
But he basically says, he basically failed.
Yeah.
What he was supposed to do.
He failed his mission.
Yeah, exactly.
So Moko's pissed off, so what does he do? He gets a match.
He gets a match to light his cigarette, but uses Bigoton's stubble to light it
to
up.
Strike it. Yeah. He just gets it on his chin, and he lights it up. And that's one of the fun things that I think people love about this movie. Like, that's what makes it a B classic. Little moves like that. I love that anyway. And I think people in general love that. So yeah, he lights his shit that way. And he walks away, and he flicks the cigarette at him too.
Yeah, but the face he makes when he flicks it at him is hilarious.
Yeah, he makes a stupid fucking face.
So yeah, please watch that. Pay attention to that scene.
Yeah. And so we see Domino with El Mariachi, and she wants to play dominoes. I guess that's why that's her name, I guess. Because she likes playing dominoes.
I'm assuming.
But Moko calls her, asking her to see him. And, we don't... El Mariachi can't hear, who's on the other side of that, he can only hear what Domino's saying. Yeah. But we can hear it as the audience, and... Moko asks her if she's ridden the motorcycle he gave her. And, when you're watching this at first, you're kind of whatever about it. But then, this asking about the motorcycle, this has more importance than you realize at the time. It's kind of a throwaway thing at the moment. But it actually plays a part later on. So she hangs up, and he asks her, El Mariachi asks her, oh, boyfriend? And she says, no. And then he's like, gringo? And she says, si. Did he mean it was him, or what do you mean by that? I'm not really sure.
I think he was just asking her, what kind of guy is he?
Yeah.
I don't think he assumed it was Moko.
Right. But it was weird that he got that right, though. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he asks her, how she got this place. How'd she get this bar, even though she says she's poor? And she tells him that she got it from Moko, right?
Yeah, she said it was a gift from him.
Yeah. And he said the guy who wants me killed,
And she's like, no, he doesn't want you killed. He's confusing you for another guy who he wants, but he wants that other guy killed instead. And he's like, but it's the same thing. It's like he wants to kill me regardless.
Yeah. And she tells him, though, that he also gave her a motorcycle. And she shows him...
Yeah, well, first, he asked her, like, why did he gift you this bar? And that's when she tells him the whole story about how, he falls in love with her, and at first she turned him down, and, to try to win her heart, he started giving her a lot of gifts. At first, he gave her flowers, but that wasn't enough for her. Then he started buying her jewelry.
Yeah.
But then even that wasn't enough for her, so he bought her a motorcycle. And then last, he gave her the bar.
Right.
So,
yeah, and so she shows him the motorcycle keys, and they're under this, like, random green cat sculpture that she has, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. It's just a little...
Yeah, like, it's some kind of hollow sculpture.
Yeah, a little thing. And she shows him where they are. And then we see that he has another nightmare where he's chasing Domino, like, in a cemetery or something.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up and the dog is in his face. He's, like, right in his face. This super extreme close-up on the dog. And then Domino comes up out of nowhere in his face, and she gives him money to buy a new guitar, because Azul has his guitar, right? So we see him walk around town, and he sees some guitars in the window, and then all of a sudden Bigoton is right next to him, and he tries shooting him, but he somehow gets out of the way, and then they're chasing his ass again, and it's another Ong Bak chase sequence. He hides in this yellow Ford truck that is around, and then we just see some guy punch the shit out of him.
Yeah, but he really sucker punched him.
The sound effect is so loud.
Yeah, it was
and then it just cuts to black. And I remember when I first saw that, I was dying of laughter.
Every time I watch it, I just think it's just...
Because he just gets in the back of the truck, and then all of a sudden you hear, and just cuts to black. You're just like, what the fuck? What the hell just happened? And then we just see an old man on the phone, like in the distance randomly, and I thought it was... I didn't even think that had anything to do with the storyline. I thought he was just cutting away to some old guy on the phone. But I guess that old guy called Moko or whatever. And it's funny because that yellow truck, has this Batman logo instead of the license plate. You just see this Batman logo.
It's like...
Yeah, it's funny.
Weird.
And they drive him to Moko, and Moko sees him, and he's like, "That's not him. What the fuck?"
Yeah, this is not the guy I'm looking for.
Yeah, and so then he lights another match on Bigoton, just like shh.
It's like that was just his way to humiliate him every time.
Exactly. So Moko's boys, they go to Azul's place, and the girls pull guns on him, but then they see Azul there, and they said they heard he got dropped off at Moko's place.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because these girls are supposed to be like his bodyguards, quote unquote, but they're really his girls, if you see what I'm really trying to say. Yeah.
So then we see Moko's boys drop El Mariachi off just randomly. They're just like, get the hell out of here. They just kind of dump him. And then Azul goes to Domino's bar, and he orders another beer, and she finally gets it right. She serves it to him in the bottle.
Yeah. But she just pops it open and slams it on the... she just slams it on the counter. It's like, here you go.
And he asks her where his guitar case is, and Azul tells Domino to take him to Moko's ranch, because she's the only person who knows where it is. So they get to Moko's place, and El Mariachi goes to the bar, but everyone's gone. So he's like, "Oh, what the hell? Like, what the fuck?" And Moko opens up to receive Azul, and all his boys are there lined up with guns. And I guess El Mariachi just had a bad feeling about this, so he's like, "Fuck!" So he grabs the motorcycle keys that she showed him, and he asked the bartender guy for a map to get to Moko's ranch. I mean, I don't know if the bartender guy would know. I mean, unless he works directly with Moko too. Like, that would be hard. Can you imagine not having Google Maps, and trying to figure out where the hell you're going?
It didn't exist at the time, but I don't know. I don't know how he eventually figured out where Moko's ranch was.
It's a bit of stretch to the imagination. Unless it just sticks out like a sore thumb, Maybe he's like, yeah, just go to that big-ass ranch. It's the only one at the edge of this town or whatever. And then we see Azul grab Domino, threatening to kill her. And then we see Moko's horrible acting.
Yeah, well, the thing about Azul is that before Moko opens the gate, Azul tells Domino, like, before, it's like, it's like play along, like all threaten that, it's like all fake, threatening to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Like, just, it's like play along.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Moko's horrible acting, and Moko's like, oh, I'll just kill her. Just to, remove the power from Azul, you know what I'm saying? So then Moko shoots, and she falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And then, Azul is so, surprised by that. He's, in shock. So then he shoots Azul, and, he hits him in the chest, right? And, his face when he gets hit is like...
Yeah, but, it's really, it's really more of, the type of face is, more like he hit his toe rather than him getting shot in the face.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a realistic, acting, I guess, but he just looks funny. When he gets hit, he's like, as he falls down. And then we see El Mariachi get there, and he sees Domino on the ground. He's like, fuck. And I like how she has this, pink lipstick that really stands out in the scene. And he runs up to her and kisses her on the forehead. Similar to, this part, reminds me of Ninja Scroll. You see Jubei, with Kigeru, he sees her kind of dying, and he kisses her. It's the only time they kiss in the movie. And, it's the only kind of love that they shared, for, a fleeting moment before her death. And he shoots... Moko comes up to him, and he's like, oh, so you're the mariachi, whatever. And his horrible acting in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because he's like, tu guitarrita. Right?
Yeah. But he really does so you're the mariachi who... It's you kill all my guys.
Yeah.
It's you've been going around town causing all this trouble, and you got with my girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that tu guitarrita.
You must really, but pretty much tells him you really must know how to play your little guitar. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Moko pulls out a gun, and he shoots Mariachi in the left hand, and his hand's all fucked up. They did actually pretty good effects for this, surprisingly.
It really looks like he got a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's funny because also in From Dusk Till Dawn, Tarantino gets... Because Tarantino acts in From Dusk Till Dawn, too. He gets shot in the hand, and he has a hole in his hand in the movie. And then we were talking about that when me and Chris were talking about Thinner. He got shot in the hand, or he gets a slingshot in the hand. And yeah. So all these movies, some guy winds up with a hole in his hand. So yeah, and then Moko. Well, actually, El Mariachi grabs Azul's gun, like as he's like struggling with his hand, and he gets up and he shoots Moko a few times. He gets him, and Moko's wearing all white, so you just see his blood like drenching his clothes,
Yeah.
And then Moko is pretty much on the ground, dead. And then Aviator dude, Bigoton, he kneels down and lights a match on his chin. He's like, fuck you. Like, I got you now.
Yeah, like that was just, yeah.
Yeah. And so Bigoton and the other guys, they're kind of like, okay, what do we do now? Now that our boss is dead, what do we do with our lives? And so they just kind of walk away at that point. And El Mariachi kisses Domino on the cheek, and he goes to his guitar case and opens it, and he has all these guns in there, and he just takes that case, and he gets on the motorcycle, and he chains up the dog there to the motorcycle, and he has the letter opener from Domino.
Yeah.
And he slides it into the front of the motorcycle, like a cool
with
little.
Like, this strip of tape.
Yeah, with like some electrical tape or whatever. Like he slides it in there, and it looks cool, but he just does it as like a decoration, kind of like a tribute to her. I mean, I like that part. I thought that was cool. That's what made it. It made it almost like cyberpunkish. Like it was kind of like Mad Max meets Akira. They could have set that up pretty nicely, like if they went in that direction, you know what I'm saying? And then when they did Desperado, which is basically like a sequel to it, even though it doesn't have, the guy from this, it's kind of like a sequel. But I felt like it could have been even better if they made it more like cyberpunk-ish, kind of like post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max meets Akira. That would have been really cool. And then the movie kind of ends there, and he kind of he does this voiceover, kind of like, oh, like I'm just a mariachi, just a vagabond wandering the earth, and it just kind of ends there. Yeah, and when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, this movie's the shit. Why didn't I watch it sooner? I really liked it.
I told you it was better than you thought it would be.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
Well, I don't blame you. In a way, but still, you should have believed me.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I mean, when we look at Robert Rodriguez's career, I mean, he's had a good career overall, even though, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but, he's done some cool stuff. I mean, he has his own network, the El Rey channel or whatever. Oh, yeah. Like, I thought it was cool that he got to that point. But yeah, like I said, he did this in 92. He did Desperado 95, which got bigger. It was a big budget, full-on movie with Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. And then he did A Part of Four Rooms, which was like an anthology thing with him and Tarantino and some other indie directors from that time. And then he did From Dusk Till Dawn, which I think is great. I think it's I mean, it could be his best movie, I mean, for my money. I mean, El Mariachi is pretty close, but I think the combination of Tarantino and him, because Tarantino wrote the script for From Dusk Till Dawn, but Rodriguez directed it. So it was cool having this, like, synergy, and it's something that Tarantino mentions on the commentary, too. And Tarantino hasn't even done very many commentaries. The only ones he's done have been for movies that aren't ones he directed. Like, it's always been, like, he did one for True Romance, and he did one for this. And I think he's done some other ones, but for movies he didn't direct. I know he did the commentary for Switchblade Sisters, too, with the director of that. I think Jack Hill, that's his name. Yeah, he did that, but he's never done one of his own actual movies. I think he likes that removed quality. He doesn't want to have to analyze his own work too much. But yeah, I love From Dusk Till Dawn, and he mentions on the commentary, he's like, oh, it's so cool. I guess they didn't realize it at the time, but he was like, oh, it's so cool that, and I wrote this, but you directed it, so I get to see my ideas, my words and stuff through your lenses. You know what I'm saying? He's like, and it's kind of rare that you get to do that because I'm a director myself. You know what I'm saying? So to see your take on it is pretty cool. And after that, he did The Faculty, which I actually like. The Faculty. It's kind of a B movie, guilty pleasure for me, but
I don't know. To me, it looks really cheesy.
I liked it. I mean, it's kind of forgotten. It's probably one of his most forgotten movies, honestly. But then he started doing a lot of kids movies. He did the Spy Kids movies, just all 3 in a row. That was his world for a long time, was just kids movies. And then he did another entry in the El Mariachi trilogy, which was Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which I mean, I don't think was that great. And
it didn't look it.
Yeah. I think at the time it kind of got some buzz, but it really wasn't that great. But I liked Sin City, though. I thought that movie was tight. And that came out in 2005, and then him and Tarantino did Grindhouse in 2007, which bombed, but at the time, but people have rediscovered it over time. And yeah, he's had kind of a long career, and it all started here with El Mariachi. And I saw that now he's doing a thing where I guess it's just really hard in Hollywood now to get financing. Like, it's hard to get financing. It's hard to get films greenlit, even if you've done a lot of shit. That's what I've been hearing lately, because I heard an interview with Michael Bay, and he was like, oh, I can't get anything greenlit right now.
Really?
And this is Michael Bay, who's done a lot of movies that have made a lot of money. If he can't get anything greenlit, what's the chance for a Joe Schmo like myself getting anything greenlit? You know what I'm saying? So I think part of that is why I see Robert Rodriguez and Eli Roth, they're on this Republic website where they're asking for investors of their films. Yeah. Robert Rodriguez has a thing where you can invest in his next film idea and also pitch him ideas. He wants to do an action film because that'll be the most successful worldwide. I wanted to do it, and the lowest amount you could invest was $250, so I was kind of on the fence. And then now that I look at the site, the minimum is $1,000 because I guess the $250 sold out or whatever. So, and I'm not going to invest $1,000 in this, So I guess I missed the boat on that. Yeah, but like I said, Eli Roth is also on the site, trying to launch his own like horror studio or something like that. So I guess that's the new wave for filmmakers right now. And also something else cool that Robert Rodriguez did, even though you probably haven't heard too much about it, is that he directed a movie like a few years ago. Maybe it was like 10 years ago. And the whole point of it is that no one's going to see it except for like 100 years from now. That's like the whole thing. He directed something and they're just locking it away.
Doing like the time capsule.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So that's like a thing that he did, which I think is pretty cool. Even though it's kind of sad that,
Yeah, no, I mean, I would hate to not be able to see a project like that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of cool. He's doing it for future generations.
What I'm trying to say is, I would hate to not be able to see it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's interesting that he would do that. Any other words on El Mariachi and Robert Rodriguez?
Well, not exactly on the movie, but if you get a hold of if you have gotten a hold of either the VHS or DVD, you can see that one of the bonus features on it is a short film called Bedhead, which was also done by Robert Rodriguez during his earlier days, which he actually cast. All of the actors cast on it are his siblings, actually. Right. So, if you ever have a chance to watch it, please do, or, if it ever comes to I think it might even be on YouTube or something.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. I'm sure it's around somewhere.
Yeah, so you can see that his sister plays Rebecca, which actually that is her real name too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see that it starts out with her being at a hospital, and she's being attended by, I suppose it's I think she's the doctor or the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, right now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so her sister Elizabeth, you know, her sister Elizabeth, you know, plays the. Let's just assume she's the doctor, and she's checking up on her, but then you just hear her. It's so Rebecca does a voiceover throughout the whole thing about what's going on. You can see that she actually got injured, but then she was like, they let her go back home. So then you can see that. Well, I don't know if they let her go home, but then she starts the story by saying how she actually ended up in the hospital. So you can see that one morning she goes to she gets up, goes to have breakfast, and sees her younger sibling, Mari Carmen, she calls her the fashion monster. You can see she's wearing this big hat. She's all really dressed up, and she's wearing makeup. It's like, she looks probably like she's about 7 years old, but she's already way ahead of her time. So then comes David, their brother, and and he's the bedhead. So you can see his hair is all sticking up. Anytime he touches it, it always makes this kind of sound. And he pours himself a bowl of cereal. It's some big cacota cereal. And of course it has to do with some kind of comic that he has been reading. And I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it does have the big cacotas name to it. Which what they're referring to, the big cacotas, of course, it has to do with caca, which means poop. But big cacotas is already redundant because when you say cacota, it means big poop. So it really means big poops. It's like, why so much redundancy going on here? I think that's just, it's supposed to add more to the humor.
Yeah.
And he's eating this cereal, and of course it doesn't sound very appetizing. And as they're eating, he sees a cockroach approaching, and of course he stabs it, eats it, and Mari Carmen is so grossed out she runs over and vomits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Bedhead, if you want to see that.
Yeah, well, that's only half of it, really. But then as Rebecca and David both go outside, because Rebecca is so enraged at David for being so gross that they're just both messing around, and he injures her. I don't want to get into too much details because I just feel like this will take too much time. But on one of those times, she falls. She falls. She hits the back of her head, and it sounds like a dozen eggs just cracked.
Yeah. So check that out on the El Mariachi extra features. You can see his short film Bedhead that I think won some awards. Like, I think that it won some short film festival or some crap like that. And I guess got him, more investors on El Mariachi when he did that.
It says, it was entered into several film festivals where it won cash prizes and competitions, to which then Robert Rodrigeuz used that money to partially fund El Mariachi.
Yeah, exactly. So he made El Mariachi he was just making it for the Mexican straight-to-video market. He was basically doing V-cinema, as the Japanese call it, which is like what Miike, he would just make straight-to-video movies, you know what I'm saying? And they would do pretty well. Eventually, in the U.S. they did that too, like all the straight-to-video martial arts movies in the late 80s, early 90s, those did well on VHS and at Blockbuster, so that's why they started making a lot of them. But then this got a lot bigger than he expected, and the rest is history. He met Tarantino, and he's had a great career ever since. Well, that's it for El Mariachi. Thanks for joining us today on Briterion Bollection. Thank you, Aileen, for joining me.
Yes, thank you for hearing all my talking.
Yeah, anytime. All right, we'll catch you next time.
All right.
Peace out.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.